So, hello everybody, welcome. My name is Dr. Peter Bloomfield, and I'm the convener for this presentation. The title of our presentation is Methodologies and Strategies for Sustainable Mental Health.
Recording in progress.
Mind-body approach. Again, my name is Peter Bloomfield, and I'm an emergency physician. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I work in academia, and I work in the community as an emergency physician, and I'm also here representing KAILASA Nityananda Hindu University. And we're very excited to give this presentation. If anyone has questions, you're free to ask in the chat. Just our time is a little bit tight, so if we're not able to get to your questions, we really strongly invite you to contact us afterwards. We're very excited about what we're talking about and what we're going to be presenting, and we're very happy to interact further. So this is the agenda of our presentation. We're going to have by Dr. Mukta Navbendan on a mind-body approach to mental health. This is connected to and run through Nityananda Hindu University, and I think it's really groundbreaking, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Then Muktananda is going to give an unclutching meditation, which is, this presentation is going to be part lecture and part experiential as well. So you should come out of here both informed and very blissfully relaxed. That will be our goal. If we achieve that, we've met our goals. Then Dr. Aranke, who's a practicing neurologist, who's connected with Nichandeshwara Paramashiva Hindu Temple in Houston, and Dr. Sandeep Pandov, who's a hospitalist connected with Johns Hopkins, Howard County, and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji, who's a practicing anesthesiologist, who's connected with Nityananda Meditation Academy, are going to be giving a talk on neuroscientific approach to mental health, and then a discussion about some lifestyle aspects that support positive mental health and higher consciousness. Then we're going to have another experience of pranayama, like a breathing exercise with Dr. Muktananda. And then he's going to give a lecture called Sustainable Mental Health and AI, talking about how artificial intelligence can support sustainable mental health systems. That'll be followed by Dr. Prema Kothandaraman, who's a urogynecologist at the Women's Health Excellence Center. And she's going to talk about women's mental health issues. Then goals. We picked goal number 1, no poverty, number 3, good health and well-being, and number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Really, if you look at the sustainable development goals, enhancing mental health will really help assist in achieving almost all of them. So we feel strongly that the work that we have and what we're bringing forth can help the UN achieve its goals and really bring a lot of positive mental health and well-being globally. So we think it's very perfectly aligned with this summit, and we're extremely grateful to the UN General Assembly for organizing this and for having us here. Just a couple estimates, 2.5 to 5 trillion US dollars annual cost of mental health. That's looking at direct costs of clinical care and hospitalization, as well as indirect costs of lost to our concepts of mental health.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Bloomfield. Really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting us to participate in this session. We wanted to give a sense of what we mean by mental health. This definition of mental health is taken straight from the UN mental health webpage. Essentially, mental health is a state of well-being where we are able to cope with life. Today is going to focus on the long term, right? So there are 3 aspects to mental health. One is treating after the problem has happened, but 2 important parts of it are being preventative and also enhancing mental health. We'll talk about it briefly. Mental health is one of the greatest challenges of our time. Close to 1 billion people are affected worldwide, and this is from 2019. And all of you know that COVID only made this problem much worse. And today's estimates are probably 1/4 to 1/3 higher than what we saw. So psychological and social aspects of mental health, like emotional means, can we handle stress and emotions? Can we handle anxiety? Psychological is, can we change the thoughts to control thoughts? Maybe think of happier things. It's more like positive thinking. And social is, can we manage jobs and relationships? Can we manage the environment around us? To be truly sustainable, which is what this session is about, I think the traditional approaches have to be sustained with holistic approaches, which are not usually identified or addressed. So in that sense, we not only treat mental health, but also enhance mental health ahead of time and then prevent it from happening. This is far cheaper, more effective, and more sustainable. Instead of just handling emotions, we should handle the source of emotions, address the mind-body system as a whole. And Dr. Peter is going to talk about have an entire definitions. You may hear these words through some presentations, and I wanted to define them ahead of time. Like incompletions are any past memory, thoughts, and emotions that restrict our spontaneity in the current moment and limit our actions in the future, which means they are limiting our future potential. They tend to manifest as like strong, low emotions such as anger, depression, agitation. So anytime you feel any of these negative emotions, you're probably experiencing incompletion. And of course, completion is a mental state where we do not have these incompletions. It gives us more freedom, more empowerment in the present moment so that we can reach our full potential in the future. Extraordinary in doing certain things that no one else can, right? That is what I mean by growing up with.
So if you have self-doubt, it stops you from trying things, which again reinforces the self-doubt. So they tend to be vicious as being limited by our humanness, but actually liberated by our humanness. So it's a different way of looking at yourself. Next slide. Great. I'm going to now hand it over to Dr. Peter Bloomfield, and he's going to delve into the mind-body studies.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muktananda. So again, my section is titled Qualitative and Quantitative Studies of Mind-Body Approach to Mental Health. And we love your questions and welcome them. And we invite you guys to look into it further. Then the Chancellor of KAILASA's Nityananda Hindu University, this is, a being we could talk about all day, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, who is, as per Hinduism, he is an incarnation of Paramashiva, which is the primordial divinity. And this is schooling. And then he's literally millions and millions of followers, over 1 million letters of commendation and recognition from political leaders, religious leaders, and is a very, very indescribably remarkable figure. And through this talk, I'll be referring to Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, sometimes as Swamiji, which is a way that we refer to him, which is an address of tremendous respect and tremendous affection because of the positivity he's brought to our life. So consciousness. So some of the programs that have been brought by Swamiji are going to have tremendous effects at the cellular and physiologic level. And then I'll be talking about those researches that have been done and then how it shows up in the mental health of participants, which you'll see some remarkable findings. And then we're going to talk about what is going on in the mind. Some of them would have already been part of this enlightenment ecosystem, would have already known Swamiji, and some of them would have been new. And so the Dr. Rao, he drew blood and measured gene expression before and after the program. And they looked at hundreds of different genes being expressed, and they found huge changes in gene expression in multiple pathways, literally, to tamp down inflammation and to support anti-aging. So you should be less stressed and more young, right? That's what we'd expect at the level of the organism. So based on that research, and this one was studied, the first one was published in Advances in Aging. The follow-up study was published in a journal called the Journal of Stem Cells. And based on the first study, they said, let's look at telomerase activity and let's look at peripheral blood stem cells. Telomerase is an enzyme that works to keep the cell genetically young. And many people know about telomeres. It's been very much talked about in the mainstream recently. The telomeres are electrical, but it was around that time, they measured mitochondrial metabolism through a test called the MTT assay, which is a surrogate for cellular viability, which is specifically a product of mitochondrial metabolism. So mitochondria are the organelles inside the cell that create power for the cell, energy for the cell. And so their metabolism was increased. This is actually not a typo. You see it's 967% It's not a typo, it's really true. Basically 10-fold increase in mitochondrial metabolism of the program. Some of the people in the program had already done similar programs and taken the initiations, and some people were new. So it was a combination. It was a convenient sample because it's through an online program. And then we did a paired and unpaired analysis. So here's what we found. So the total score per US average, total score is around 18. A higher number means more depression, more anxiety, more stress. So you want a low score in this system, in this mind-body approach. But afterwards, even greatly reduced. And stress as well went from 4 to 2 or 5 to 3. Over 14 is stress, and the US average is 8. You can see all these graphs on the left. You can see the line graphs is the paired, and then the bar graphs. Both paired and unpaired, highly statistically significant in all of these. So statistically and clinically, very significant improvement in people's feeling of mental health in connection with this program. The next we looked at the WHO. 5 out of the 9 met statistical significance, and they were also clinically significant. I just included a couple graphs here. The total score, you can see it's going up for just about everyone, and then social functioning is going up for just about everyone. So again, increased mental and physical health was seen. And the last one is mindfulness. And this looks at the ability to be present, the gene expression, and then these changes in mental health. So to better understand that, a lot of science has been done with Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramahansa. So I'm going to talk about a few scientific studies. First one is done with, I'll go as quick as I can, but it's so valuable and so important. I want to make sure we cover things. So Dr. Krishna at a Jim Thorpe Rehab Center in Oklahoma did PET scans and noticed heightened activity in the frontal variable called heart rate variability, which shows variability within the heart rate that reflects the autonomic system and how at ease someone is. You could say it's very complex. We don't have time to go into it further. But the key finding is when he would do healing on someone, they would completely sync up their heart rate variability. Means a complete cohesion and entrainment was happening. And then again, that a neuroscientist noted, this is a quote, Swamiji demonstrated a remarkable ability to shift between brain states during meditation. His right heart of brain would go into what the researcher called extreme gamma activity, which I think is likely to be high amplitude gamma waves, and I'll explain why. But then the person he was healing, when he was doing direct one-on-one healing, they went into the same increase from Dr. Collins that he couldn't believe that he said there's no such thing as normal for you. He couldn't believe that his baseline level of mental activity. They talked about the power of the gamma waves in the mind. They take a huge amount of metabolic activity, but both Swamiji and the person he healed were completely refreshed and energetic afterwards. And the doctor said, if I had done this, I'd be fatigued and sleeping by the time it's over. So for some deep restorative sleep, or if you were like in a coma. Theta waves, these are 4 to 8 hertz. These will correlate if you're in REM sleep, if you're daydreaming, if you're in a deep meditation but not sleeping, or very drowsy. This is what you'll have. Beta waves would be, we'll go to alpha waves here. Alpha waves are the next state. They go from 8 to 12 hertz. This is if you're awake and alert in populations and individuals who have very little baseline gamma activity. They're much more likely to develop Alzheimer's dementia. In individuals who have a higher baseline, like very low levels I'm talking, that you need a QEEG to detect, they're not going to have dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. And even in animal models, they've showed if they can induce gamma waves, the plaques and tangles that you see at the cellular level of dementia start to get cleaned up. So the idea is that gamma activity can prevent and possibly even treat Alzheimer's dementia. But I'm familiar outside of Swamiji and what I'm going to talk about that we've seen sustained gamma, but it was in long-term meditators while they were deep in meditation. So what we've seen that's unique and different, and that I've not seen described anywhere else, is our Swamiji can himself go into gamma at will, and he can transmit it to others at will, both through healing and through initiation. Do it at will. They describe intense bliss associated with that, intense oneness. I've also seen another disciple who can do slightly lesser at will, and I've seen a few others that go into a very high beta, almost on the cusp of this, that's extremely atypical for normal beta activity. So I see this as progression in their capacity to reflect this state of consciousness, in their spiritual growth. And so they would do this by connecting with Swamiji, connecting to a state of oneness, doing things like blindfold reading and materializing. These are yogic shaktis that are beyond the scope of this presentation. But while doing these things, they'll describe a very low TPS, which again, sattvic diet and fasting. Later, another presentation is going to talk about these things. Detoxing with herbs. Puja is a ritualistic connection to higher consciousness. Yoga pada, yoga and pranayamas and meditations and kriyas, we'll be doing all of these experiential in this presentation. And then knowing, pursuit of powerful cognitions means knowing yourself as a very powerful, connected being that is worthy of having this life experience and can express this life experience. And one thing that I think is connected all throughout the world, Hindu diaspora, people who have come from Hindu civilizations or backgrounds and spread all over the world, they have
are all filled with anxiety. And this meditation personally has helped me calm myself down in a moment of stress or anxiety, or in a moment of indecision. I don't know what to do, right? And I want to have clarity of mind. Too many thoughts are running in my mind. I just take a moment to practice this meditation where I unclutch from my thoughts. So I want to take you through this meditation, but
I'll just put the whole unclutching in one line. Listen. Decide. In the initial level, you may be a little deluded here, there. In few seconds, you will see you are not thinking process. You are beyond your thinking process. Pure. Sit straight. Close your eyes and clutch. Decide to unclutch. Disengage, unclutch from all thought process.
when any thought arises, I just say unclutch, which means I disengage from associating with that thought. Typically, our thought currents are one follow the other. First, I think about my house, I'm thinking about my dog in my house, and then the food the dog didn't eat, and so on and so forth. So it's an association of thoughts that creates problem. So if you unclutch from each thought here, then you don't associate them, and then they just become random series of thoughts which don't affect you. That's the whole idea. So initially you can use the word unclutch, and but after a little while you can just unclutch without using that word.
Are you able to hear it now?
No.
How about now?
visible to you. Sometimes the blood pumping through your heart becomes more audible to you. Unclutch from those also. So there is as you hear things, those are also thoughts. They're triggering thoughts inside of you. So
plays a very important role in regulating mood and cognition, not only through activity of certain brain structures, but also pathways or circuits of communication between different brain regions are important. Brain and the digestive system, which is two-way, which is really important in mental health. And it turns out lifestyle measure of diet is very crucial in mental health. So eating a Western diet has been associated with poor loss of brain cells in important areas of the brain, areas which regulate memory, learning, and emotion, like the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for attention, planning, judgment, impulse control, the orbital frontal cortex, which is important in regulating our emotions. And it's not only about us, but it's how we bond with other people, how we interact with others, social attachments. It turns out pain processing pathways are negatively impacting depression. And one way is, move on to the next slide. So what has been really, in a way, groundbreaking is that initially we thought that brain cells, we have a limited number of brain cells or neurons, and once they're gone, they're gone. But it turns out certain practices, especially yoga and meditation, can actually lead to neurogenesis. We're actually generating new in practitioners of yoga. Areas like the insula, superior temporal gyrus, occipital gyrus, and cerebellum are important for emotional awareness, processing of language and speech, as well as empathy. So being able to empathize with others and relate to others, interact with others. All of these areas are very important for that, and these are enhanced with increased amount of different areas of brain that are activated at one, during certain tasks. And basically, functional MRI studies have shown that there's increased activation in practitioners of meditation in regions of the brain involved in attention and controlling the autonomic nervous system, such as the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, parietal cortex, hippocampus, temporal lobe, anterior cingulate striatum. These are also involved in emotional processing, some of these areas. Very interesting, thicker in various brain regions listed there. These are regions that are important for emotions, decision-making, learning, and memory, and also the ability to monitor ourself, to know what's happening within us and our environment, and as well as having self-awareness about fear and anxiety. We tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety. And they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well. The dopamine is the brain chemical responsible for the feeling of pleasure or reward. Interestingly, studies in both yoga and meditation practitioners have shown that they have lower levels of so this is all very promising findings. You can move on to the next slide. I'll invite Dr. Pandav to discuss the next few slides.
So Dr. Pandav will discuss these slides quickly, and then we'll have a very short video and short discussion to follow. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandav.
Hi, this is Dr. Pandav. I practice in the US near Baltimore. And thank you, Dr. Shachi, for the input. Basically, the gut-brain axis is a very important axis. These days, there's a buzz. It is high in fiber, high in antioxidants, high in polyphenols. So basically, what it does is it fuels the healthy bacteria to grow maximally. So when that happens, it produces neurochemicals like serotonin. So these send signal via the vagus nerve to the brain, so reducing the anxiety and depression. So this is one impact. And the second impact it does is that it improves the bowel movements. So basically what it does is, since it is high in fiber, so people get relief from constipation. And so there is less of inflammation in the gut lining. So it reduces all the inflammatory bars, the whole food plant-based diet. The next.
Well, you can go very quickly over this, Pandav. I believe we have a video and then a discussion, so you can go very quickly.
Oh. Are we waiting?
So if you consume them, if you consume plants, vegetables, there is no pain going inside your system along with it. There is no biomemory going inside. Pure energy food, only that goes inside. But with the animal, the muscles have a capacity to store muscle memory, and the muscle memory, biomemory recorded in it, that becomes part of you. You become prone to that pain. You become prone to that pain. That's the reason I request you to be a vegetarian.
Further enhancing health. So we're getting beyond just preventing disease. We're actually, these can help us to live our optimal health. In other words, reaching our full potential, mind, body, and consciousness. So I'd just like to open up the discussion now to also Dr. Pandav and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji. Maybe we can just...
Liquid diet is almost like pre-digested. So your body doesn't use energy to digest it. So it brings your energy level up. And it has effects at physical plane, mental plane, emotional plane, spiritual plane. That's what I found. So the least is, you lose weight. And but other than that, so emotionally you feel much better. You feel much lighter. Your energy level goes through the roof. And the last, your meditation deepens like amazingly.
Day or two, it actually was not difficult to sustain. Definitely the mind was quieter. People around me noticed, even yours.
Every summer, allergic reactions. When I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergy. So I had to take antihistamine all the time. And it actually affected my work style as well. So it was, I think, about 12 years ago, Swamiji introduced the Nirahara Samyama, 12, 13 years ago. The first time I did the Nirahara Samyama, after that, it's completely gone. I don't take any antihistamines. I'm completely, and after that I did 2 times of Nirahara. Even with the first time, it disappeared. I thought this is,
Which is a pranayama breathing exercise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because we are running out of time, I'm going to go through this very briefly. But what Dr. Aranke stressed, so it's a very easy technique. Sit up straight and roll your tongue and just put it outside of your mouth just a little bit. The deeper you do the inhalation, the deeper the cooling happens. And you will actually feel it in your chest, in the middle of your chest. If you don't feel it, try breathing in a little bit more deeper. Continue doing this. How many of you feel that deep cooling happening? Just long to breathe out, then breathe in. So count breathing in. If you count breathing in 5 times, breathe out till the count of 10. For example, if breathing out makes you feel stressed because I'm asking you to breathe out twice as long, you don't have to do it. Just breathe out till the count of 6 or 7. That's also okay. Whatever makes you feel relaxed. Typically, breathing in, the alternate nostril breathing actually makes you feel quite relaxed. Okay. Let's move on to the last technique. When you do that, hum as long as you possible. When you take a doing this for a more intense hum, you can actually close your ears also. Like put your fingers on your earlobes and close them, and that will intensify the hum because the sound hums inside your head. And very soon how many of you could feel the humming reverberate inside your head even after the humming you stop humming? Right? You would feel that humming inside your face and in your chest. So the more you practice it, if you do it for like 21 minutes, this humming is a very intense exercise. Great. So these are things you can practice pretty much anywhere. And these are all. Okay. Here I'm going to talk about sustainable mental health and AI. I have practiced, AI for a very long time, and I've applied AI to multiple different domains. An everyday companion, which is easily available at their fingertips to handle emotions on a daily basis, but maybe even answer bigger spiritual questions, right? And one thing that everybody or most people have at their fingertips are low-cost phones nowadays. You say for sure here that AI cannot replace human beings. We still need people. Address a few challenges like address privacy, make trust and safety front and center. These are challenges that we are working through today. But if we overcome these challenges, using AI at scale for helping people with mental health is a very powerful solution. With that, I want to say a little bit about Nityananda.ai. This is actually a solution or the science of happiness as taught by Hinduism. So this Nityananda.ai has the entire access to his teachings and the science of happiness and the science of enlightenment as taught by Hinduism. And it can answer questions from perspective. So with that, let me show you a screenshot. I didn't have time to go through extensive, right? So it uses these principles to help walk through someone who thinks they are a bad mother because they are spending time at work and not being able to come home. It talks about how being a bad mother or bad wife arises from separation between these two responsibilities and understanding that these two are both parts of you. And if you understand it from you think your sister should do what you want to do, right? And encourages open communication, understanding that you may not be able to spend too much time, but think about it as quality time, and also cultivating this idea of self-worth, which can lead to a challenge. So press play again, please. And the final example is about facing stress and suggesting yoga and meditation techniques. If you can fast forward this, maybe 10 more seconds.
Good evening, friends. I'm Dr. Prima Kuthanaraman, OBGYN urogynecologist and a pelvic surgeon from Los Angeles. We have been enjoying last more than an hour of learning so much about mental health, wellness, and holistic approaches. It's my turn to talk about women's during menstruation, pregnancy, postpartum, and menopause can significantly affect mood and mental health. Reproductive health issues like polycystic ovary, endometriosis, infertility can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. Gender-based violence, women are more likely to experience domestic violence, sexual assault, and emotional abuse. Social pressures and roles, women often face societal expectations to fulfill multiple roles like caregiver, professional, and homemaker. And body image issues like living in the era is a year and 217 million days of work lost. It's a big loss of work. And more women are seeking help but failed outcome. The treatment methods are making people dependent on medication, and more medication, it becomes a vicious cycle. So when we look at the modern day approaches for treatment, it can be varying from psychotherapy to hospitalization, depending on the severity of the mental illness, where transcranial magnetic stimulation can be used for depression, sometimes hospitalization when women become. So many of these current treatments primarily focus on symptom management rather than addressing the underlying causes at different levels. In many parts of the world, access to mental health are very limited because it's very expensive. And social stigma around mental illnesses also prevent people to seek the treatment. So by knowing the different reasons for women's mental illness and also the available treatments are not that effective, let's learn from KAILASA a holistic approach with very powerful words about women. Women, by their very DNA, have the capacity and groundedness to hold an ecosystem or family or a team or a community together. So women have their own intuitive intelligence in the field of keeping something very stable, keeping it together and making it functional. The legislative chambers put their views on forefront. So women hold 80% of leadership positions in KAILASA. While KAILASA's policy stipulates that 33% legislative positions should be held by women, currently women make up 90% of the governance in KAILASA. So when we empower women, they can policy against sexual harassment and exploitation. And it creates the most safest environment for women on planet Earth. At social prominence, Swamiji has worked tirelessly for gender equality, not only in the economic society, but also in the spiritual and religious realm. The Sannyas Sampradaya, the monastic male child and women to empower them. And Nityananda's Women Foundation, it helps Indigenous women to become again to get financial freedom and emotional support. EN Pregnancy is a great program where it supports pregnant women for having a painless delivery and a blissful birthing experience.
Energy can be given the word. Only feminine energy can be given the title sacred, because when it is awakened, it does so much in you. Only the feminine energy need to be awakened, only that can be called as sacred. Let me define the sacred feminine. Understand? The extraordinary creativity. Creativity will never be possessive.
Practicing, and after being with Swamiji for almost about 20 years, none of my patients need pain medicine and none of my patients need narco, and it's his initiation, empowerment of women. We do like get powerful life, whatever you are, like wherever you are, to lead a very powerful, healthy life. So for all women, mothers, homemakers, anyone, everyone, get empowered with KAILASA. Prevent and treat all kinds of mental disorders, not only for women, it's for everyone. It relieves unresolved emotions and past traumas, build
Things coming out. And powerlessness. No, this is not for me. First of all, this may not be true. Second, no, this is, even if it is true, not for me. No, this may be true for the people who don't have to work for their food and paying the bills. No, maybe it is true for the people who are sitting in KAILASA and enjoy and do completion. Understand? This is the initiation I'm giving to all of you. Sit in front of mirror. Pen down all these patterns and fears and everything. Intensely chant Mahavakya and see the mirror and start reliving ability patterns which tells you no, you need to be dependent internally, externally other than Paramashiva. Pen down all of that. Whatever patterns tells you, you need to be internally, externally dependent on something else other than Paramashiva. Pen down. Pen down. Sit in front of mirror and start completing all those.
I'm a psychiatrist practicing in California. So as adult and women, children also have unique challenges for mental health. And we have the next slide. So I have here some of the fact sheets from World Health Organization. We'll quickly go over. 1 in 7, 10 to 19, and social changes, adversity such as poverty, abuse, exposure to violence, pressure to conform with peers, exploration of identity, and so forth. So can we have next slide? So based on this alarming number, we know that conventional approach have not been enough to and be creative and not force children into strict curriculum and nor evaluate them based on narrow rubrics. This mind-body consciousness-based education empowers children and helps them feel powerful. It encourages students to travel, discover, invent their own methodologies and take leadership roles in early life. Can we have next slide? So in next few slides, I have summarized some of the case studies done on students at Nityananda Gurukul, where Hindu education system is integrated with conventional intelligence. And the tests were performed on 75 students, and the results showed an average percentile rank of 95.7 for copy phase and 89.91 for recall phase. These high scores are indicative of above average results. So this is impressive numbers. On the next slide, we have numbers from Sloan IQ test, which is highly validated intelligent test, measures a variety of capabilities, including comprehension, arithmetic, and visual motor capabilities. And these results showed 50% of students with total English immersion fell into category of genius and very high superior intelligence. IQ score of 120 and above to change to integrate such education into conventional curriculum. And of course, as I said, more studies are needed for this evidence, but policies to change and integrate this education into conventional curriculum would be a good
to be able to stay. But just briefly, it's our conclusion that these mind-body model that we've been discussing and these lifestyle model we've been discussing for mental health treatment would help the UN achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Really, many of their goals would be achieved by adopting this lifestyle. At NHU, the Nityananda Hindu University, we aspire to be a world. Peter Bloomfield, my email, and Sri Mukta Ananda, his email as well. They're both posted at the bottom. Also, policymakers for children's mental health, we invite you to contact us for collaboration for how to incorporate this approach to traditional education and for further research. And then, of course, the Padmashivoham program is the program that I referred to that showed profound positive effects on mental health, reduction in depression, anxiety, and stress, extreme improvement in well-being, mindfulness, and overall health. That program is ongoing. You can find it at padmashivoham.org. So we invite policymakers, we invite academicians, and other politicians, anyone to contact us.
In conjunction with other approaches. And this video will introduce the kriyas and what do they mean and why they are so powerful. And after that, I'll walk you through a very simple kriya for stress relief, but let's start with this one. Please play.
The science of kriyas.
Blood flow, breathing air flow, thought flow. You have something called energy flow continuously happening in you. In this energy circulation, energy flow, if there is a disturbance in some point
by the Kundalini energy, though not spoken much by the medical science, but elaborate references have been given for Kundalini energy in the Vedic tradition. The Kundalini energy is the innate, immense potential energy in every individual that helps complete the energy circuit. How does Kundalini energy reach different parts of the body? Let us take the example of a water tank. A water tank is a structure which stores for the flow to resume. Similarly, when there is a block in the energy circuit in the body, there is impedance to energy flow forward, and it results in disease in that particular organ. The Kundalini energy in our body is like the water in the water tank. Kriyas are powerful tools which help
to that circuit. See, putting your body in certain asana makes the circuit blockage free. The circuit becomes perfect. But only through that, if you take, it may take 10 years for you to cure the disease. But mixed properly in certain combination, it removes the disease in 2 days, in one dosage.
The kriyas help to restore
chanting of some mantra internally. See, internally when you create the sound, it's called mantra. Externally when you listen, it's called chanting. So, mantra, internal verbalization.
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Yeah, I can just walk everybody through the kriya. It's actually, the kriya has 3 steps. It's a kriya for hypertension, which also relieves. Okay. I think we need to bring that picture. If somebody can add that picture to the slide, to the next slide, that'll be great. So you have to, and then you just put your hands around your knees and hug them and pull them closer. That's it, right? So Peter, you can play the music, and let's start by doing Nadi Shodhana, which is close your right nostril, breathe in through your left nostril. When you unclutch from that, you will start hearing your own body sound, breathing, heartbeat. Unclutch from that also. Fall into a deep silence. Surface level. I mean, there is a lot of depth to the meditation, mind, body, consciousness studies. But we just wanted to share some experiential, some experiences with you can find out.
Science will absolutely 100% help the UN achieve their Sustainable Development Goals, and are excited to further collaborate with the United Nations going forward. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and have a beautiful rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.